Hi everyone, welcome back to the Football for Rookies podcast. So if you're watching on video, which I don't know, honestly, I don't know if anyone is or not. Um Background probably looks a little different. I am currently at my parents' house. I'm home for the weekend and figured while I have my really pretty mic, I might as well film an episode. And this episode is very prominent to where we are in the NFL season at the moment. So it is the perfect time. I think this is going out the day after it starts, but like it's fine. It's going out at some point. Again, I didn't want to move my computer that much. Again, I do apologize for a lot of my content being so choppy. Um, Being a senior in college is not fun. Being in college is not fun in general, but I am like a little busy bee right now, so trying to, get through the motions and everything with being in college at the moment. But first and foremost, welcome back to the Football for Rookies podcast. I will put all my social medias over here. They're obviously going to be in the bio of my episode as well, and they are also all on my Spotify. They're on my Spotify, but if you do not know what my social medias are for my podcast specifically, Instagram is football.for.rookies. TikTok is football for rookies without the periods or spaces or anything. Twitter is football for with the number 4 rookie. And then for my personal ones, my Instagram is at Becca Trulick Sports and my Twitter is Becca T Sports, I believe. So follow me all on there. I am trying to utilize my professional social medias a little more, especially now that I'm so close to graduating and obviously want to get my name out there trying to get a job. So that's it. Another thing I will say now before we get into this episode, my last episode on YouTube specifically, I can double check this while I'm saying it. It is copyrighted. And I don't know fully if it is because of the outsourced audio that I have for my intro or if it's something else. I don't know. I don't know how to see why it's copyrighted either, which is so annoying. But it says it's copyrighted. And I think I'm also just gonna say it this way. I think it's because of something I said in my episode. So this isn't like a broadcast rule. This is like an NFL rule. Unless you are sponsored by the league or have a license or a copyright for it, you cannot legally say the name of the NFL championship, which I'm not going to say it. So anytime I am referring to it, I will probably either say NFL championship Lombardi or I will say big game. It is something that has been I want to say drilled into me and pressured on me a lot. It's been drilled into me especially because of the fact that I do a lot of on-camera stuff. I am a member of Point Park's TV station and I've done a lot of sports reporting and we cannot say the name of the game. So we are always saying big game and all that kind of shit. So I am just going to steer clear from saying anything that's not that, just because I don't want to get copyrighted. And I mean, if this episode is copyrighted, it's because of these songs, but it's a free royalty free song, so whatever. So this week's, oh my goodness, I just hit my computer because my watch keeps going off. This week's episode is about the Pro Bowl, not what it was tier. I'll explain that in a second. Oh, my package was delayed. I'll explain that in a second, but we're going to talk about the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl is starting Tuesday, February 3rd. I think this is going out the 4th, however. So, it's still going out. I think it's just going to be the day after it starts, but it's still Pro Bowl because I think the Pro Bowl lasts a couple days. So, yeah, that is all my yapping for the beginning, and let's get into this episode. Can we do it then? Okay, so like I said, this episode is about the Pro Bowl, and the Pro Bowl is basically the NFL's version of the All-Star game. If you see me looking this way. I am currently using my really big curved monitor, which is another reason why I'm happy I'm filming this at home, because I don't have to have my iPad because I think it looks dorky when I have my iPad. So the Pro Bowl features the best players of the season, and these are voted from multiple ways across the league. There is a three-way voting system. You have the fans, which is a online voting thing. You just type in NFL Pro Bowl into your search engine, and it's from the beginning of the season until about November. They have Pro Bowl. The NFL also sends out stuff on social media going, last chance to vote for the Pro Bowl. Yeah, fans can pick whoever they want. You also have the players who vote and the coaches as well. So it is usually the AFC, or the American Football Conference, versus the NFC, which is the National Football League football conference. That's gonna bother me, but because I'm not looking at this after I do this, I'm not doing it. It takes place after the regular season, but always before the big game. So in past years, it was always in. So like the AFC NFC championship would be like the second to last week of January. Excuse me. Pro Bowl would be the Sunday after, and then the big game is always the second week of February. This year it's different. I don't know what their reasoning behind it was, but it's different. So basically every position, so like quarterback, running back, wide receiver, all your linemen, all your defensive players, all your special teams, they're all chosen. It's every single position, but they are not just competing against everyone in the whole league. They're more or less competing with people at their specific position. It's now, like, I will get into like the differences. Now it's like a bunch of skills games and stuff. So what happens if a player can't go? Players who are in the big game do not participate. So that is why Drake May was taken out of the Pro Bowl. His team, the New England Patriots, are going to be in the big game, and Seattle Seahawks, which I don't think Aaron Donald was it, but I think Cooper Kupp was selected. He's on the Seahawks, so he will be in the big game. Some players do opt out because of injuries, rest. Travis Kelce just opted out a couple days ago. A lot of people are speculating because he's retiring, but I don't think Trav is retiring yet. I honestly think he has another year in him, but because Drake May was taken out, Shador Sanders is now in the Pro Bowl, which makes no sense because no one likes Shador Sanders, and he's a little cocky son of a bitch. But a lot of people, especially on Twitter, I can pull up Twitter now. A lot of people on Twitter were very upset about it. Oh, that's Grok. I do not want to talk to him. Shador Sanders. It'll work. 3-4 record, 7 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, under 60% completion rate, QBR 20 points below average. But Shador Sanders is going to the Pro Bowl. Dan Rogers said on Twitter, "I'm not a Shador Sanders fan. I'm also not a hater, but adding him to the Pro Bowl roster is absolutely absurd." Anthony Russo on Twitter said, "I'm sorry, Shador Sanders is not a first-round prospect, and this is why." I'm just saying, he's just really bad. So, yeah. That's that. A lot of people are very upset about it. So, again, when players do opt out, their alternates, Shador Sanders was an alternate. I do not know who Travis Kelce's alternate is, though, off the top of my head. But players who are credited as Players are credited as Pro Bowlers even if they are just alternates. So even if Shador Sanders would not have been chosen for the Pro Bowl, he would still be like credited as a Pro Bowler, which, okay, whatever. So is the Pro Bowl an actual game? Historically, it was a football game, and this is what I know the Pro Bowl is. I think I've talked about this a couple times on this before. I saw this like meme once and I can never find it. Like, I haven't been able to see it since, but it was like quarterbacks from X year to X year, like the generation I grew up with, and it was Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, Big Ben Roethlisberger, Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, Tom Brady. And I remember watching them in the Pro Bowl. I remember watching Jason Kelsey in the Pro Bowl. And the way it was is it was AFC versus NFC, which is how it still is now. But it was like an actual football game with like them at their actual positions, and they would all be wearing the same uniform, but their helmets would be their own helmet. And it was the coolest thing ever because you would see people like Patrick Mahomes playing, and like I'm trying to think of like a better example for that. Um when Eli Manning was with the Colts, they are an NFC team. It would be like him as quarterback, but Jason Kelsey as center. So like that's what I was used to. But it has now shifted to the Pro Bowl games. It is more of a gentleman's club because they don't want to risk injury or anything. But like the Pro Bowl doesn't get as much viewership as it used to. When it was an actual football game, the views were off the charts. And like I remember watching the Pro Bowl. But now it's like I watch there's a couple of clips every year I watch. So now it is a flag football game, a skills competition, and they're fun challenges. So like QB accuracy, catching drills. I know the one catching drill, I think it was last year or the year before. Steelers safety Miles Killebrew. That's what it is. He's on IR. So that's why I did not remember. He was doing the skills competition where you're trying to catch as many footballs as possible, and he won. And I remember that so vividly. Okay, I'm gonna edit the like part of me going, I don't remember who that is. Oh, okay. So why the change? Player safety, less risk of injury, more entertainment. I will say, watching the skills stuff is always so fun. But like, I don't know. I missed the football game. It was more like because you have these teams. I hope this mic doesn't make too much noise when I'm moving it. You have these teams who are like neck and neck with each other at all times. But then you get to the Pro Bowl and it's like, oh my goodness, they actually get along and they're playing with each other. That was more fun. Okay, so why do people care about the Pro Bowl? Like, what is the significance of the Pro Bowl? Being named as a Pro Bowler, first of all, looks good on the player's resume. It makes, if they're a free agent, which I covered the free agency, so rewind her back. I think it's episode 1. Oh no, let's look at my Spotify. I want to show you a for short one, but I might be wrong. I'm on my YouTube. Okay, so that's like not helpful. Where's Spotify? It's just all I see is the what part, and I think NFL free agency was first. Yes, free agency was first. If you go back to my first episode, it is talking about the free agency and what it is. It looks good for a player who's in free agency trying to get a team. It can impact their contracts, the legacy, Hall of Fame discussions. Trying to think, like Peyton and Eli Manning, both players who have been in the Pro Bowl. Also, I think up until this year, oh my goodness, they were the coaches for the AFC NFC Pro Bowl. Eli doing the NFC and Peyton being the AFC. They are not doing it this year. It's like two actual like NFL coaches, which I don't like change. You'll also often hear X-time Pro Bowler when talking about the player's career. I have another like example of that down here in a little bit, which I will get to a little bit. But yeah, sometimes it'll be like 3 or 4 time all Pro Bowler X player. Okay, so why do fans criticize it? So some common complaints. It's a popularity contest. Big name players sometimes get in over better performers and the games aren't super competitive. That is back to the concept of Shedeur Sanders. He was playing for the Browns because they released Joe Flacco. Not Deshaun Watson. It might have been Deshaun. No, he was still out. Because that was when he got booed. Yeah. They released Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco went to the Bengals. He was not with the Steelers at one point, which would have been so funny. But he was released, went to the Bengals. So they, at the end of their season, because I mean the Browns have never really made it far in the season. The Browns haven't won a big game or anything, but they put Shedeur Sanders in, and like I was reading those tweets, like I could pull them back up. I think I was reading those tweets. Like his completion rate is horrible. 3-4 record, 7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, 60% completion rate. Why is he being listed for the Pro Bowls? And it is mainly because he was such a quote-unquote, standout quarterback in college. The only reason he got playing time in any capacity was because his daddy's Deion Sanders, former player for the Cowboys, and he's the coach of Colorado. Like, that's the only reason he actually got anywhere, is because his daddy's a coach. Um, this is the same man who thought he was going to go in the first round. He didn't go until the third round. So you kind of have to, like, he has to put his money where his mouth is. He has to realize he's not that good. He's more washed up than, like, I don't know. I think he's more the definition of what people thought Baker Mayfield was. Because once Baker Mayfield went through like 3 different teams and then went to the Bucks, and now he's phenomenal. He's like Mitch Trubisky, who was with the Bears, went to the Steelers, played under Ben Roethlisberger, and then, like, was not good, and that's the reason they ended up turning to Kenny Pickett 2022-23 season. And then Kenny Pickett gets injured in his last season with the Steelers. They put Mitch Trubisky in for half a game, I believe. Tomlin's like, eh. And then Mason Rudolph came in and was doing pretty good. So it's like that. But it's still a league honor, and players can care more than the fans think. I'm honestly wouldn't be surprised if Shedeur Sanders is freaking the fuck out because he was listed for the Pro Bowl. So Pro Bowl versus All Pro. This is where I was like, say I'll get into it. Pro Bowl is a fan influenced honor, but All Pro is media voted, and it's more exclusive. That's when you hear people talking about Jason Kelce, for an example, a great example for this. I think he's 13-time All Pro, and he's made the Pro Bowl almost every single year he made All Pro. And many fans consider All Pro the higher honor, so that's why whenever you hear Jason Kelce get, sorry, I'm having a bang issue on my head. That's when you hear Jason Kelce get introduced all the time. It's always All Pro. I don't necessarily think they talk about Pro Bowl as much. So the Pro Bowl really isn't an intense competition anymore. It's kind of just like we get to go to, I think it's in Miami. Let's go in. Where is the Pro Bowl? It's in San Francisco this year. For the first time, the event is integrated into Big Game Week with the main flag football game scheduled for Tuesday, 8 p.m. Yes. Okay, so I was right. The event moves away from its previous location in Orlando, Florida, to align with San Francisco area. So they're just trying to make them one cohesive thing. It's about recognition. It's a celebration at the end of the season. It's fun, and it's a victory a lot for the standout players because, like, they did so good. They were going to the Pro Bowl. Okay, so that is everything about the Pro Bowl. Obviously, I don't really necessarily have anything else because, I mean, I could talk big game stuff, but, like, it's the Patriots, Seahawks. I'll get to that. Another thing I have not touched on since my last episode, talking about the positions and then doing I forgot about this episode. There was, at one point, 9 head coach vacancies, which I will go to Google. NFL. No, that's a D. Head coach vacancies. Let's see if I can get the list. Okay. So, ow, that really hurt. I just nailed my shin. Okay, the New York Giants had a coach opening. The Ravens. So I'm going to have so there's 2. The Falcons. I just moved my whole computer again. The Tennessee Titans, who go through coaches like Southern. The Buffalo Bills. The Miami Dolphins. Pittsburgh Steelers. Cleveland Browns. So there you go. So the 2 that I honestly was most shocked about, Steelers and Bills. So the Steelers one was very, like, I honestly think I had more of, like, a harder time with it necessarily, just because, like, I don't necessarily have a favorite football team. I really don't. But because of where I grew up and where I'm from, Pittsburgh and the Steelers specifically have a special place in my heart because it was my home team growing up. Because obviously, growing up, you follow an NFL team. most people do. That's what I am. And Tomlin started in 2009, so I was just going into kindergarten. He finished his 18th season with the Steelers. So, so basically, I'm 22. I was 4 when he started, so I only knew Tomlin as the coach, the Steelers head coach. Before that was Bill Cowher. I don't remember Bill Cowher. I know he won the Super Bowl. That's as much as I can tell you. But it hurt a little bit, kind of just because it was a shock, essentially. And I know the team also did not take it well. If you do not know the story behind it, which is what I'm piecing together a little bit from what I've read, the night after the Steelers lost to the Texans in the wild card, he informed the team that he was stepping down as the Steelers head coach, which is kind of what Cowher did and what Chuck Noll did right before Cowher, who was the first Steelers head coach. The only thing is, Noll and Cowher both got exit press conferences. Mike Tomlin got nothing. So there is a rumor that the Rooneys kind of forced him to step down. And that this is the one that, like, I don't know how I feel about it, because I'm like, I don't know. But another thing is, a lot of people were saying that if he was a white coach, this wouldn't have happened. So it kind of just depends on how you look at it. Mike McCarthy is an interesting candidate. I will get into that. But I am on the US Today website with all of it, so I can see it. Another one that I was really surprised about, what was his face? I don't remember what his name is, because I know if I saw his face I could tell you. No, there it is. Did I say his name? Okay, Sean McDermott for the Buffalo Bills. The Bills did great. They just fell on an AFC divisional. Why would they let him go? He has done so much for that team in the last 7 years. I think he's been there. Why did they let him go? I don't know. Okay, so number 1, the first signing, for coaches out of those 9, well, one of the biggest ones, John Harbaugh, who was with the Baltimore Ravens, signed with the New York Giants. Which, honestly, not a team I was expecting him to go to. Full-heartedly not a team I was expecting him to go to. Expecting the former Ravens coach to replicate what the New England Patriots or Chicago Bears achieved in 1 year of their new regimens would be unreasonable. He's a great coach. He's gonna do great. I don't know. I kind of know why the Ravens dropped him a little bit. They're upset they haven't made it to the Super Bowl. But their season started off bad. Lamar Jackson was injured very early on, and then they just couldn't get it back. And then they lost to the Steelers, and that was their okay, you're done. Harbaugh was the one option this cycle who looked capable of flipping an organization's culture, even if it required some uncomfortable shifts. And the Giants need it. They were with Mike Vrabel, and Cam Scudetto, who were the two when Jackson Dart was in the blue tent, were getting in there and trying to see what's going on, which is a big NFL no-no. I honestly do not think Russell Wilson is going to last after the season. He played for 4 games, and they were like, we're calling in our rookie, and Jackson Dart did amazing. Jackson Dart, I don't know if I remember talking about it in my draft episode or not, I honestly thought Jackson Dart was going to Pittsburgh. I am actually kind of glad he didn't, because I think the Giants need their time. I think they need it, and I think they're going to get it with John Harbaugh and Jackson Dart. So the Baltimore Ravens then hired Jesse Minter. I think he was already working with the team. Minter already has an extensive track record of bringing along young players. In Los Angeles, Minter's remaking of the fence took almost instantly. The Ravens may be due for more of a bit of upheaval. Yeah. Okay, of course, this fails to address a pretty crucial factor: who guides Lamar Jackson in the offense. So Minter is a very defensive motivated coach, which is another thing with the Miami Dolphins, with Mike McDaniel being fired and then becoming the offensive coordinator for the Chargers. He is an offensive minded coach, and he's a great offensive coordinator, but his defense lacked. And honestly, that his offense, I could talk about this for days. His offense makes no fucking sense because Tua Tagovailoa and Tyreek Hill they're like Antonio Brown, but like not as bad. Antonio Brown was the wide receiver for the Steelers for the longest time, and then he just went fucking AWOL. But Tua is more worried about saying he's not going to wear a cradle cap and just keeps getting concussions. Tyreek Hill is more worried about having kids. So like their QB room is a mess and they can't like make passes. I think Tua ended up being out for the season too. So like they have like no like structure with that. Is this a stop? My Wi-Fi's on. Okay, so I think I might have lost a little bit of content for the past like 2 seconds. I was talking about Tyreek Hill and Tua Tagovailoa from the Dolphins. Tua is more worried about getting concussions, and Tyreek Hill is more worried about having kids. And you can't. I mean, that's just possible. You can't control a QB room like that, and you can't control an offense like that. And obviously, Mike McDaniel did not get the expectation that management was hoping for, so let him go. He's a Chargers offensive coordinator now. I think he's honestly going to thrive out there in LA. Then the Atlanta Falcons hired Kevin Stefanski, but landing a 2-time NFL Coach of the Year should be more of a victory outcome. Kevin Stefanski bears an 8-26 record in his final 2 years of the Cleveland Browns. There is no questioning his resourcefulness, though that trait should come in handy as he takes down a far less imposing undertaking and he has been saddled up with. Because the Falcons need help. Okay, then the next team, Robert Saleh for the Tennessee Titans. Perhaps feeling some pangs of remorse after parting with Mike Vrabel and giving an unproven entity to Brian Callahan a shot, the Titans went hard at second-time head coaches this cycle. And my phone just like refreshed it. Okay, I have to scroll the whole way back down. No. We were on Robert Saleh. So I was reading a part of this. And all 14 of the 18 candidates they interviewed had prior experience running a franchise. With Saleh, Tennessee ended up doling out a second chance to someone who was shown enough to indicate some things go smoother if they didn't go his first round. Saleh did superlative work in keeping San Francisco 49ers defense ravaged by injuries afloat in his plan to hang onto defense play calling duties while serving as head coach to facilitate an expedited turnaround on that side of the ball. And I honestly think that I think Saleh's gonna fit really good in Tennessee. I really do. Joe Brady for the Buffalo Bills. Jeff Haley for the Miami Dolphins. Sorry, there's stuff about Bad Bunny. Mike McCarthy for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, this is how I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this. I fully thought that Vikings offensive coordinator Brian Flores would be a perfect candidate for the Steelers. Like, the Steelers don't need a defensive coach. They need an offensive coach. Tomlin was great, don't get me wrong. They need an offensive coach who can get the quarterback to throw the damn fucking ball. Mike McCarthy, I know he is very good for like molding quarterbacks. In hiring the 62-year-old McCarthy, who has a career 60.8% winning percentage and a Super Bowl title on his resume, but little postseason success to speak of in the last decade, Pittsburgh proved it prized steady stewardship above all. McCarthy also demonstrated he is still a savvy play caller in his 22-23 seasons, offensive ranked 4th and 5th in scoring, respectively. He was with the Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys. He was just fired from the Cowboys in 23, did not coach this season, and now is back. Unlike the Giants, the Steelers aren't a team needing the floor to be raised. Pittsburgh has taken up residence in the AFC second tier without much of a threat of breaking through the first, but they have a really severe postseason drought. Trying to think if there's anything else that needs to be like. Pittsburgh held virtual interviews with both Los Angeles Chargers defensive coordinator Chris Shula, considered to be many of the leading candidate for the role, Rams passing coordinator Nate Skilhasse, I think is how you say that. But they had to wait for the NFC Championship game to be able to move forward with both of those candidates. And I understand another thing that has been really big about McCarthy is one thing that the Rooney family, who is the owner of the Steelers, really is stressed in that press conference, which I watched part of it. The beginning, Mike McCarthy was just crying in the beginning. I did also read his statement that he put out on the social medias, and let me find it because the ending line was pretty cute and I really liked it. Steelers. The one thing that they really talked about a lot is sorry, I just hit my mic again. Pittsburgh is a very good city for wanting to get coaches, players who are Pittsburgh. So, like, you have the example of Kenny Pickett going to Pitt, and that they made a big deal. They had to draft Kenny Pickett, but then he didn't provide as well as they wanted to. In McCarthy's, hold on, this one, he made a welcome message, and you can read this on the Steelers Instagram or wherever. The part that I liked the most, which I'm gonna read through part of it. I'll read through part of it because I really like this one. Out of all the intros I saw, I think Mike McCarthy's might be my favorite. Oftentimes, coaches and players put on new team colors, and it takes a minute to feel comfortable in them. But if you're blessed beyond measure, one day you'll put on the colors you've worn since you were brought home from Mercy Hospital's a hospital in Pittsburgh. This city, this franchise, and this fan base mean the world to me because Pittsburgh is my world. To my heart, my wife Jessica, our kids Alex, Danny, Jack, George, Gabby, and Izzy. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of kids. My parents Joe and Ellen, and my sisters Colleen, Ellen, and Kelly. The whole crew. You can finally openly wear your Steelers swag. And another thing is, remember, he was the Cowboys coach. The Cowboys and the Steelers do not get along. They're usually Monday night ESPN rivals because it's historically always been a Monday night game for them, and it's kind of silly. And I think, let me see. They just recently posted their opponents. Okay, they are not playing the Cowboys. They are playing the Eagles, though, but they are not playing the Cowboys. So, that's interesting. Todd Monken for the Cleveland Browns. Oh, no, that's not it. Yeah, I guess so. But, there are still 2 teams, I believe, who are still in the hunt for coaches. So, it's been a really weird coaching cycle. Because the AFC North, 3 out of the 4 coaches, the only one who's still, the Bengals still have Zach Taylor, which I'm still surprised they've held on to him. They've all changed. And it's just going to be weird this season, not having some of these coaches that you're used to. Like Mike McDaniel, one of the most, memeable coaches. This is a guy who quite literally had a vape on the side of the field and was like, I didn't have one, when it was pretty obvious. He's still an offensive coordinator, and he doesn't really have that much. But yeah, that was a very long-winded conversation about coaching cycle, but that is going to conclude this episode of Football for Rookies. I hope you enjoyed learning about the Pro Bowl and also finding out what's happening in the league right now, because there has been so many changes. Yeah, the next time we talk will be after the big game, and there will be a new champion for this year. Honestly, my money is on the Seahawks. I do not think Drake May is going to be able to make it. How he made it this far, I don't know. But I'm also not betting because I don't do sports betting. But I am going to put my social medias again on the screen. Please follow me on social media. You can follow my personal ones. You can follow me. It's a good time. Like I've said before, when I edit the podcast itself into a short form content for social medias, I make the editing really goofy. I do not have the time to do it for this. I really don't. I wish I did. Maybe when I graduate. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Football for Rookies. This has been the NFL Basics without the fumbles. Bye, rookies.